Live from the WKRG News 5 studio, you're watching the Mobile City Council Candidate Forum for District 4. Sponsored by Mobile United, the League of Women Voters, and AFC Mobile.
Hi everyone, I'm Peter Albrecht. Welcome to tonight's District 4 City Council Forum. We have two candidates running for the seat that are with us here tonight in the WKRG studio, Fred Rettig and Ben Reynolds. District 4 encompasses almost everything south of I-10 and west of Dog River, also everything south of Cottage Hill, generally between Knollwood and I-65. Also a few neighborhoods east of I-65, so it's a far-ranging geographical district. We have the candidates left to right on your screen in alphabetical order. Again, they are Fred Rettig and Ben Reynolds. And gentlemen, first, just briefly give us a little bit about your background.
I'm Mr. Rettig, lived in Mobile all my life. Businessman of 41 years, one wife only, and I'm excited to be here this evening. Thank you.
All right, and Ben?
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the League of Women Voters, Mobile United, AFC Mobile, and WKRG for being our host tonight. Good evening, watchers. My name is Ben Reynolds. I'm a lifelong resident of Mobile. I'm a business owner, the father of two little girls, and I'm committed to Mobile's future. And I look forward to having your vote on August 24th.
All right, here are the ground rules we'll be going by tonight. The candidates don't know the questions they'll be asked before the debate tonight. They'll have 1 minute to answer their questions. There will be no rebuttals. We ask the candidates to answer the question that's being asked. We'll rotate the order in which the candidates answer the questions, and then at the end of our forum tonight, candidates will be allowed to make a 1 minute closing statement. So here we go with our first question, gentlemen. We'll talk about annexation first. A couple of years ago, for the first time ever, the City Council voted against allowing a group of people, in this case about 13,000 people living just west of the city, to vote on annexing into Mobile. The majority of those residents are white. The vote against annexation on the City Council was on racial lines. The question, how important is annexation to the future of the city, and accepting the apparent racial sensitivities about the issue, how can it be accomplished? And Fred, you'll go first.
Yes, I'm for annexation. You know, we need the west side of the city if Mobile's going to grow. We've got to have it. We don't want to bottleneck and block in the growth of our city. What my concern is, though, is on the east side of 65, leaving the districts 1, 2, and 3 behind. So during this annexation, I'm going to push for some kind of a compensation as they gather the taxes off of the west side of the city, that they will implement it and put it back into the east side to help their growth behind. It's kind of like the old saying, no child left behind. We don't want to leave the citizens of Old Mobile behind as we go westward.
Very good. Ben?
Thank you, Peter. Good question. Annexation is vital to our city's future. It can be had because it is the right thing to do. It's going to open up opportunities for our communities, and you know, when a developer or business owner looks at Mobile as a place to open their business, one of the first things they look at is our population increasing or not? And this is a way for us to do it right now, to change that trend of our population declining. So I will support annexation so long as it is financially sound to do so.
All right, thank you. Our next question is a simple one, but maybe complex as well. It is, what's the biggest issue facing the city of Mobile? Why do you think it's the biggest issue, and what can be done about it? Ben, you go first.
Well, it ties into annexation. The number one issue we have as a city is the decline of our population. It's imperative that we change the trend that we found ourselves in. I've asked around, talked to many folks, and the things that I've found contribute most to that is public safety, infrastructure, housing, and education. And I'm committed to working through solutions that will change the decline of our population.
Thank you. Fred?
You know, I think the largest problem we have in the city is that tunnel and the lack of that bridge. That's been a concern. I have a business on both sides of the bay. I have to plan my trip. When people pass through this city, I think they're cussing this city. They don't want to travel through Mobile. For me as a businessman, I bought billboards on both sides of the bay, on both sides of that tunnel, and I'm saying, please pray for this bridge to come to be. It's going to take a lot of planning, and I think that is our largest problem from a businessman standpoint.
Thank you. Our next question is along similar lines. What's the biggest issue facing District 4? Why do you think it's the biggest issue, and what would you do about it? Fred, you're first.
You know, after moving through this district, it's, excuse me, the largest district probably landmass-wise. The needs are top to bottom, whether it be in Cypress Shores or it be in Morningside or Theodore or Tillman's Corner, so I don't know that I have one pressing need. Morningside might have the biggest needs that I've seen so far, but as elected official, I will work on all the needs that have been given to me as I've traveled through the district.
Thank you, Ben.
So District 4 is a lower lying district in our city. There are some higher areas, but the biggest issue that I've found is our aging infrastructure, and particularly with storm water. Whatever happens north of us, to the west of us, that water flows to us in the Dog River watershed and comes through our territory. So I'm committed to working with the administration and the city council on finding a solution to this problem. It's a big problem, and it's one that we need to allocate monies to right away.
All right, thanks, Ben. Our next question is about the supermajority. The background on the supermajority is that 5 of 7 votes are needed to pass most city council business in Mobile, and this was established to protect African American rights, with 4 of the 7 districts being majority white. However, we just had a census done, and districts will be redrawn next year. We might have a 4th district that has a majority of African American voters. If so, should the supermajority remain in place? Ben, you go first.
Well, I have hope for our form of government the way it stands today. Now, having said that, I'm open to new ideas. You know, the supermajority seems helpful in some ways and hurtful in others, and I'm all ears to hear a better way of getting the business of the people done. But when making that determination of the supermajority, race should really not be a factor in that. And it's got to be what's best for the taxpayer, what's the best thing for the city. Now, on the other side, the supermajority does require you to have consensus of the people.
All right, very good. Fred?
I'm for the supermajority. You know, I would like 3 to 4 vote, but they've settled it on 5 to 7, so I think that's the proper way to do it. You know, from what I understand, very little controversy comes up with their vote. They seem to be able to pass it, move it on through. I know there's been some controversy, but I'm for it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next question involves violent crime in the city. Mobile on pace this year to have the most murders in the last decade, and many of these crimes are being committed by teenagers. What can be done by the city, whether it's through police tactics or other programs, to address this pretty complicated problem? Fred, you go first.
You know, first I want to commend and thank the law enforcement agency for keeping our city safe, keeping anarchy down whenever it's come up, and for, you know, keeping violence down, and we're having a safe city with their protection. Thank you, law enforcement. You know, for our young people, we've got a problem. It's across the nation. How will we deal with it? I know there's a lot of people have had a lot of suggestions. I want to involve the faith community. There's times we're going to need to pray and ask God, how do we deal with this? So I would say, one, bring in the faith community. You know, the other would be just trying to come up with some solutions through government agencies on how they're doing it across the nation. But let's model from someone else that's having success, but the success does not look so good across the nation.
Ben?
So that's a great question, Peter. I appreciate you bringing this to the forefront. I'm not sure that I have the answer to our crime issue, but I am aware that this isn't just a Mobile issue. Crime is up in areas across our country. But as a legislator, it's important that we know that the mayor and the police administration are really the ones that are going to be directing the police department and other employees to tackle this issue. And it's my commitment that I will support whatever plan they put forward, the Mobile Police Department or the mayor.
All right, thank you, Ben. On the topic again of police work in the city, we'll talk about body cameras. Mobile equips almost all of its police personnel right now with body cameras. Some have had them going back to 2015, but unlike in many other jurisdictions, the public and the media have virtually no access to this video. Is more transparency needed when it comes to police body cameras? Ben, you're first.
Well, it's a touchy subject, right? The body cameras are put in place to protect both the citizenry and the police officer. But it's my opinion that our policemen should not be convicted in the court of public opinion before context is provided to videos. I think our judicial system should play a role, a larger role perhaps, in determining when it's right for body camera footage to be released. You know, is there an ongoing investigation? Is this going to impede the investigation of a crime? I'm excited to support a resolution that will meet the needs of both the citizen and the policeman.
Okay, Fred, your thoughts on police body cameras?
You know, it's sad that the policemen that go to these crimes, their word is no good anymore. We have to have other means of proving who's right and who's wrong, but it's very sad that we can't take a man's word or those that were there dealing with the perpetrator. It appears that the perpetrator has more rights than those that are enforcing the law, and it's a sad day for all those involved. But since we have the cameras, we should wear them. And could it be that they've got a panel that they work with and they say, you know, let's observe what's going on before we expose the information that we've received? So they're going to have to wear them. I hate to say it.
All right, thank you. We're going to talk about the CIP now. That's the Capital Improvement Plan. It uses a portion of the money from the penny sales tax and divides it evenly among the 7 districts for infrastructure projects. Do you think this is fair for the older parts of the city? And what changes, if any, would you make to the way the CIP is set up right now? Fred, you go first.
You know, when you look at all the districts, and there are some districts that are in disarray, that, you know, 1, 2, and 3 have some serious needs. 4 somewhat, but the others are in pretty good shape. But how do you give one more than not the other? It would cause a tremendous controversy. $3 million that's allocated each district, I'm concerned about. You know, I'm thinking that could have taken place maybe 8 to 10 years ago. Well, what I propose is they up that ante to $5 million. $3 million won't go far in today's economy. We need more money. With the surplus that we have, I'm going to petition the council and the mayor to give us more money to take care of the needs in these districts.
All right, Ben?
So the CIP was established to address district-specific issues in each council district, a fair disbursement of that. And I think it's a good thing. For those areas that require a little bit more, well, the mayor's got the ability to allocate additional money to those areas, but District 4 can use every bit of $3 million every year, and I'm committed to allocating it in the most appropriate way possible. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's talk about how you would like to spend your CIP money in District 4. What are your top priorities infrastructure-wise? Ben, you go first.
Infrastructure-wise, stormwater management is going to be at the top of the priority for me. The core of government. That's really what we're going to focus on. Our ditches, our stormwater system, which it's $100 million plus, or hundreds of $1 million of worth of capital improvement that need to happen. Roads also are always going to be at the forefront of everyone's minds, and you know, once we take care of the core of government, then we can start focusing on a lot of these other issues that are out there. Parks, that sort of thing, but I'm committed to dispersing it amongst parks where it's needed.
Okay. Fred, how would you like to spend your CIP money in District 4? You
know, District 4 is the largest land mass in all the districts. You know, when I travel the district, there's a lot of needs there. You know, I would have to say, from Cypress Shores has tremendous needs. Tillman's Corner has some stuff going on there. Skyline has needs. You know, all of these areas have needs that are just beyond understanding, and the money will not go far. You know, if I say one particular area, then I will cause a havoc. So I'm going to say we're going to have to work on it over the 4-year term to try to work with each and every area of the district to bring some peace and happiness to the landowners.
All right, on to our next question about the Bayway Bridge project. What do you think the city's role should be in the construction of a new Mobile River Bridge in Bayway? Fred, you go first.
You know, we've got to have it. We've got to have that bridge. You know, when we look at first responders, our emergency vehicles, or we look at the movement of that port moving cargo, it's havoc. As I was saying earlier, as people travel and transverse through this city, they struggle to come through here. As myself, like I say, I have a hard time traveling back and forth to my businesses. The city needs to participate. They're going to have to participate. They are the ones that are going to have the voice to say, we've got to have the problem. I don't know if the federal government will look at it as a traffic issue more than a safety in a cargo and moving equipment out of the port.
All right, Ben, your thoughts about the Bayway?
Well, our administration currently just had a meeting with the President of the United States. That's a meeting that I could not acquire, no doubt about it. So I appreciate all the work that they are doing to draw attention to the Bayway Bridge. The truth of the matter is the city does not have the money to build a bridge. Therefore, it's a state and federal issue. Right now in our city, we've got aging infrastructure that totals hundreds of millions of dollars. That's where our focus should be, on what we can do to make our quality of life in Mobile a better place. Again, we've got a lot of work to do, and let's stay focused on the things that we could actually affect rather than meddling in the state and federal government's business.
Okay, our next question is about an occupational tax. In the last 15 years, the city of Mobile has invested more than $200 million in economic development projects, yet a majority of workers at Airbus Austell and the steel mills live in Baldwin County. Some people say that Baldwin is benefiting off the back of Mobile. Would you like to see an occupational tax put in? They have one in Birmingham, for example. Ben, you're first.
No, absolutely not. We are dependent on the labor force across this entire region, and we don't want to lose that. That's what makes Mobile attractive. We have a labor force that is spectacular, and because we have people that are wanting to come to Mobile to work, we're able to attract the sort of industry that we all benefit from.
Okay, Fred?
You know, my answer will be along Ben's lines. You know, when the business comes to Mobile, what do they want to know? Do they have the staffing? Do they have the people that they can employ and help them with their creation of bringing these large companies in? I understand that Birmingham tried it and it was a flop. For Mobile to try it, it would be insane, so I'm against it. It would, you know, I'm just glad that people will come in and we can fill these jobs for these industries that want to come in, and we know they won't come in if we can't do that. So it's a negative that won't work, and I'm against it.
Okay. All right, here's our next question. What city council members, past or present, do you admire the most, and why? Fred, you go first.
You know, I've visited with most of them that would talk to me. You know, in visiting with them, I felt that Regina Gregory had the most passion of all of them that I had visited with. Mr. Small was very good, but Miss Gregory was just she's a passionate woman, and I admired the passion in her and the tenacity, so I would have to say Regina Gregory.
Okay, Ben?
Of course, it's John C. Williams. He has represented our district for 15 years and done a great job at it, and he served honorably and has given everyone the due respect they deserve, no matter what their situation is. And he's been a friend and a mentor and someone that I care to hear their opinion. And if elected to this position, he's given his commitment to be available to me in the event that his counsel would be required.
All right, thank you, Ben. Our election is less than 3 weeks away now. Who's your mayoral endorsement? Who are you going to vote for mayor, and why? Ben, you go first.
Well, I am committed to working with whoever is our mayor. You know, there's a rule in politics, you know, that you don't get involved in someone else's campaign when you got plenty of work to do yourself. So that's where I'll leave it.
All right. How about you, Fred?
You know, Dad always said you never change a plow horse if he's plowing good. Mr. Stimson's done a wonderful job. There's 5 people running for this position. Everybody has the opportunity to vote for their man, but I'm going with Mr. Stimson, the mayor.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Let's talk about a city pay raise. During the pandemic, no city employee missed a paycheck. Mayor Stimson right now is proposing giving employees a $5,000 bonus that's coming out of the city's CARES Act funds, the federal funds. Do you agree with that, or do you think others, maybe individuals and businesses that were more impacted by the pandemic, should be getting some of that money? Fred, you're first.
You know, I think there's a large purse there, and they could share it with others, but I'm for the pay raise. When I realize what a lot of the city workers make on their job, it might be below nation standards, so I'm for the pay raise. They need it, especially with the economy and the price of cost of living and the goods. They've got to have it, so I'm for it.
Okay, Ben?
All right, well, I'd like to say thank you first and foremost for Mayor Stimson and his administration for leading us through a very difficult time in a pandemic and taking a pragmatic approach to it. A lot of uncertainty out there. We have great employees within the city of Mobile, and I think they absolutely deserve the $5,000 bonus that's been put forward, and we got to do what we can to keep them on staff.
All right, thank you so much, Ben. The current administration has built up a surplus of tens of millions of dollars over the last 8 years. What are your thoughts about having this rainy day fund and balancing it with people who say, hey, look, this money's being collected from taxpayers now, we have a lot of needs now, let's spend this money now? Ben, you're first.
Well, for years, this city has operated without a rainy day fund, and we were constantly robbing from Peter to pay Paul. It was just a routine thing that happened. We've been fortunate now to have righted the ship, so let's don't go back there. The experts say you should have 3 to 6 months in cash reserves. So we've got to be able to balance our budget in the event of a financial downturn. So I am for maintaining a healthy rainy day fund. Okay, Fred?
From what I understand, we had that surplus. We had that rainy day money. And earlier I said I would like for them to up the ante on the $3 million to $5 million. With this surplus, I'm asking that they spread it across the district so we can make better improvements for the needed areas that definitely need it. So I'm for spending the money. That's actually, I think somewhere along the way there's got to be enough there and we can go on.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Next question, what's the best thing about living in the city of Mobile? Fred, you're first.
It's the people. I love the people. I love driving down Government Street under the canopy of trees. I love the rain and the greenery of this city. I love Dick Russell's biscuits, and I love Dewdrop's hot dogs. So I would say the people and some of the food.
All right, Ben?
Well, the people of Mobile, of course, as Mr. Reddick alluded to. Also, Dog River. It's a fantastic resource. Our history here in Mobile, our tremendous workforce, Mardi Gras, the list goes on and on. This is a great place to live, and there's a lot to be proud of.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. The next question is the opposite of that one. What is the worst thing right now about the city of Mobile? Ben, you're first.
It is, no doubt, our aging infrastructure. We're fortunate to have an administration and a council that have recommitted to doing something about it. It would be up to me to carry that torch forward, and I will. Okay, Fred?
The worst thing that I struggle with the city is the bridge. We've got to have the bridge. There's other things that I'm disenchanted with, but it's the bridge. And a few of the restaurants might want to change their menu in the city.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to talk about COVID-19 now. Personally, have you been vaccinated for COVID? If you haven't, why have you not been vaccinated? And what message would you have for the people of District 4 and the city at large about the COVID-19 vaccine? Fred, you're first.
This is a personal decision, and from what I understand, all across Alabama, probably up to 60% of the Alabamians have not taken the shot. Me and my wife were probably one of the first ones in the city to contact COVID. But what's going on, we're going to all probably have to take this shot and get ready for probably what's coming at us. I'm very concerned about the next outbreak. But I think the city and the government are doing a good job of pushing it, and eventually we're all going to have to take that shot.
Okay, Ben?
I have personally been vaccinated, and I encourage everyone else to do the same. But understand this, I will never be a part of any legislation that will require you to be vaccinated.
All righty. Thank you. The next thing we're going to talk about is city-supported events. What should the role of the city be in financially supporting sports and entertainment events like the Lending Tree Bowl, which got almost $1 million last year, the Moon Pie Drop, or things like Bayfest that no longer exist? Ben, you go first.
Well, you know, whether we like it or not, it's not the government's job, core job, to provide entertainment for everyone, everywhere. Sure, fireworks at 4th of July and New Year's and the Moon Pie Drop, I can get behind that as long as the public use can be clearly seen. If the taxpayer use makes sense, then absolutely I will support it. But that's the measure. If it doesn't meet that measure, government intervention is not necessary.
Okay, Fred?
You know, as hardworking citizens of Mobile, I believe we should be entitled to part of these activities that are offered to us. The city should do it as a goodwill gift towards our citizens. So I'm for them funding these things that you referenced, the bowls and the Moon Pie Drop. You know, we work hard, we pay our taxes, and we should be compensated through entertainment in times of being able to enjoy our life in the city. So I think they should participate in it strongly.
Thank you. We're going to talk about tourism now. The city supports Visit Mobile with about $2.7 million a year. COVID, some say, threatens the future of the convention and meetings industry. So what do you think the city's focus should be when it comes to tourism? Fred, you go first.
You know, that's a tough one there. We've got to continue to have tourism because it creates tax dollars. You know, we've got to probably, and they might already have a group of people that work on the tourist board that create these opportunities, but, you know, we're going to have to continue how to stay safe and to play hard. What they're going to do to come up with these ideas, I will have to learn through experience and understanding, but we've got to have it. And I have some ideas in my heart, but at this time, there's not time for me to express what we would do, but we've got to have tourism to make it work so people will enjoy coming into our city.
Okay, thanks, Fred. Ben, your thoughts?
So as far as tourism goes, number one would be public safety. Make sure we got a place that everybody can play safely in, but we should be focusing on the things that we're proud of. Mardi Gras, our rich baseball history, soccer, battleship, rivers, museums, all of the above is what we should be focusing on our tourism dollars on.
All right, thank you. Let's talk about the Gulf Quest Maritime Museum in downtown, as we'll talk here the next few questions about some of our city facilities. The Maritime Museum cost about $43 million. That's just the city's input on that one. It has not been a success. What do you think should be done with this property? Keep in mind, however, there are some restrictions, they say, on what can be done because federal transportation funds were used to build Gulf Quest. Ben, you go first.
Thank you, Peter. There's no question, and I think most Mobile folks understand it, that it was a bad deal. A deal we shouldn't have been involved with. And I'm not sure that I have the answer of what the solution is to it. I will say my predecessor, John Williams, voted no. It may have been 6-1, I can't recall. But now that we own it, I am committed to working with the administration, developers, any other interested party on what a good solution would be. It's something that we need to get right.
All right, Fred?
You know, in the city of Fairhope, I don't believe you can own your property. You lease it for 100 years. So could it be that maybe the city could come up with an idea of possibly bringing in some large hotel chains and leasing it, because we know that there's restrictions on selling the property, and if they sell it, they're going to have to pay back the $40 million to the federal government. But if we had a developer that could come in and turn it into an entertainment venue in a hotel situation. And another thing I thought about is, I know Africa Town has their fixed location, but why couldn't they do a duplicate twice of the Catilda and put one in this building as well and continue the Maritime Museum mentality. But there's a tremendous need there that the city government is paying a tremendous amount of money just to maintain each year.
Okay, let's talk about the Civic Center, another facility that the city spends a lot of money on. When Mayor Stimson came into office, he said the Civic Center was obsolete. You really couldn't renovate it in any sort of financially viable way, that it was a financial drain on the city. It's still open. Not a lot of events there other than Mardi Gras balls. What do you see as the future of the Civic Center? And if you think the Civic Center should go, what would you like to see done on that property? Fred, you're first.
You know, I told my wife this morning, I said, well, maybe if they take it down and we put in a Six Flags type environment, it would increase tourism tremendously, but then we'd have to bring in some strong business people. I think there's 22 acres there. There's plenty of land to be able to put in the parts of an entertainment is roller coasters and Ferris wheels and all that it takes to have a Six Flags type venue. You know, the other option I thought about is asking the Mardi Gras societies as a whole to corporately pool all their monies and them buy it, because they want the building more than anybody, and let them take some of the money that's being used yearly. If the city would rebate back to them a 10-year amount of rebates over a 10-year period. If it's $100,000 a year it costs them to maintain the properties, then give them back $1 million towards the purchase and towards the repairs of it. But I don't participate in Mardi Gras, but they need a fixed location, and maybe this would be a good idea for them to pull their minds together and buy the place.
Okay, Ben, your thoughts about the Civic Center?
Well, before we get too off on a tangent, it's important that we know that this legislative role on the city council would be that the executive, the administrator, would put together the plan and put it forward to the council for their approval. And I've heard every sort of idea under the sun. I don't know which way's right or wrong. You know, I'm not a developer. I don't know, but public input is important to it. Also, Mardi Gras organizations have spent a lot of years there, and their input's important. Whatever goes there, there's things that we got to protect. We got to protect our current entertainment district. We don't want to pull all the revenue out of them and put it over there, and then we're left with the same dilapidated issue on Dolphin Street.
All right, thank you. How about Ladd Stadium? We've got USA has moved out, the Senior Bowl has moved out, the Lending Tree Bowl might move out, the local high schools are all getting on-campus stadiums, we're told by the school board. What do you see for the future of Ladd Peoples Stadium? Ben, you go first.
Well, Ladd Stadium has served this city well, and it's a grand old structure. But the truth of the matter is either we fill it up or we tear it down. And it's open for business right now today. There's not people knocking down the doors trying to host events there. And certainly not people that are wanting to host events there without the city subsidizing their events. So, you know, I don't know what the future holds for Ladd Stadium, but it's becoming more and more of a burden every day, and inaction needs to stop.
Fred?
You know, I don't know how old Ladd Stadium is, but, you know, possibly they might want to consider taking it down, and I'm going to upset some people by saying that, but if they took it down and rebuilt the stands for a smaller venue, put in some soccer fields, and put in a nice park there for the community, maybe that would be a good option. But it's, as far as maintaining it and spending the money year in and year out, it's become a burden. But I believe the land could be used for something better than what it's being used for now.
Okay. Next question concerns Amtrak. The city of Mobile has promised $3 million to help bring back Amtrak service to the area, but Amtrak has reneged on a promise to conduct a study on what impact Amtrak's use of the tracks would have on commercial rail service, specifically at the port. Do you think Mobile should subsidize the return of Amtrak service? Fred, you're first.
You know, I'm against Amtrak, and I'm against them subsidizing. I think in 2020, February, the city council voted to give them $3 million, but I don't believe for a moment that Amtrak cares about Mobile. I know that they're fixing to receive a $22 billion bailout, and with that bailout, they've already said that since 1971 they've not been prosperous. But the federal government wants to use Amtrak as a rail service for the nation. But for our area, I don't believe it'll work. It'll bottleneck the port. We will have to accommodate them. and it would be a bad decision on everyone's behalf. Some people want them to come in. I don't think we need a yard ornament at the expense of causing jobs on the port.
Okay, Ben?
Well, in lieu of just speculating about, you know, the impact of it, I'd really like to know, you know, what is the impact? And part of that is getting the report, the feasibility study. I'd like to know what it is. But I can tell you, if it's going to be a novelty for few travelers, I mean, what public benefit does that serve? So I'm excited to learn more about it, about what the impact really is, and make a good, sound decision financially based for our taxpayer.
Okay. Let's talk about parks and rec in the city. Do you think Mobile has enough parks? Do we maintain the parks that we have sufficiently? What are your thoughts? Ben, you go first.
Well, we've got a lot of parks in our city, but in District 4 specifically, we've got what I would say plenty of parks. I would rather see highly executed parks that are well maintained and well managed, and fewer of them than many parks with, you know, things that need to be addressed.
Okay, Fred?
You know, one of my constituencies yesterday wants the Amtrak to come in, and then another thing she asked for is public pools. I said, well, what if I got you a pool in one of these parks, would that satisfy you? I didn't get a good answer from her, but, you know, from what I've seen on the parks, they need better maintenance. We need public pools to train our children how to swim. So, you know, I'm with Ben. I think we have enough parks. We just need better maintenance and add some things to it that entertain our young people, and maybe the I don't know if they call it the water park or the things that shoot water up from the ground, but I forget what you call it.
Splash pads.
Splash pads.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going to ask for some pools, and I'm going to ask that they do better maintenance on the parks.
Okay, very good. Now we're going to talk about schools and helping out our local schools. What, if any, role should the city have, be it financial or otherwise, in supporting the Mobile County public school system? Fred, you're first.
You know, I'm an advocate of vocations and trade as a blue-collar worker all my life. I'm going to ask the city government to work with our school systems on pushing vocations. I know my neighbor works with Airbus, and she says if we don't catch these young people by the age of 12, we probably won't put them into vocations. But we need vocational skilled people in this city to grow the city, to be able to fill the needs. Try to get a plumber or electrician. For me, for my industry, it's tremendously painful when I have to replace employees. So I want to ask the city to push vocation through the school system, and I believe they will be able to help and fund this as well.
Okay, thank you. Ben?
Well, the county, Mobile County Public School System, is in charge of our public schools, and you know, we don't have any city schools, but what I've heard and come to learn is that Mobile County Public School Systems is a big, cumbersome organization. Some say it's too big. The city should be ready and willing to help educate our youth in whatever capacity that is. I am confident that our current leadership, Mayor Stimson, working with Superintendent Threadgill, will result better than what we have now.
All right. Going to talk about what some people say is a major problem in the city of Mobile and has been for decades, and that is litter, especially in District 4, with a lot of that litter ending up in the waterways of District 4. Ben, what's your plan for addressing litter in the city?
Well, litter is a big one. It's a big one for me. It's a big one for all of Mobilians that care about litter. You know, there seems to be a lot that don't, and we need to change that mentality that throwing a bag of McDonald's going down the road is okay. That's simply not. So a lot of people may not be aware of it, but Mobile is leading the charge in our region on litter abatement. We've got contracts in place with a lot of good people who know a lot about litter, and they are working every day tirelessly to push the litter further upstream all the way to its source. But we have to stop it at the source. We have to increase the fine, and we have to assist the district attorney's office, and whoever else we can to reach a prosecution on these things for littering. Also, our businesses. Our businesses don't want litter. They don't want their products thrown on the ground. So we use them as partners and tackle it head on.
All right, Fred?
You know, we do have a serious problem with litter. They pull into my business and they empty the cars out. You know, I want to work with businesses and create some kind of incentive, a tax incentive, but with that incentive, ask them to police their properties, because a lot of the litter starts on the grounds of these large facilities. And so if we can get them to police their facilities, but give them that incentive to watch and police theirs, then maybe we could start there. The other is, you know, you don't see many signs in the city about controlling litter. Maybe they need to re-implement the fine for litter and enforce it. And, you know, as they litter and they're caught, then let them pay the price. But in order to stop it, we've got to make some decisions. And I know they're doing a lot of community and across-the-board work, but it's got to take place with everyone.
Okay, thanks, Fred. Next question has to do with the homeless problem in Mobile, especially downtown, where you have a lot of people who've invested a lot of money in their businesses downtown. They complain there's too many homeless. They harass their customers. They hurt their bottom line. We've had homeless individuals downtown arrested for serious crimes in the last couple of years. What should the city's approach be to dealing with the homeless? Are we doing a good job of it right now? Fred, you go first.
We're probably not doing a good job, but you know, when I was growing up, if you had a cat you didn't want, you just put it in the car and took him down the road and dumped him off. But you can't do that today. But some of the cities are buying one-way bus tickets, and it might be that we want to offer some of the people that are moving through the city an opportunity to travel outside the city with stipulations. I know we have organizations that are working with the homeless. A lot of these people that are in that situation don't want change. I've offered them jobs. They won't take it. They're working their job on that intersection. You know, so it's a problem across the nation. We've got a serious problem. My concern is if COVID breaks out and we have an economy turned down, we're going to see homeless like you've never seen it. It's going to take the city as a whole, individuals and the police, to deal with it. So the problem is beyond my understanding, but you know, we can't put them in the car and take them around across town and drop them off.
All right, Ben?
Currently, there's no silver bullet solution to homelessness, and I'm frankly not here tonight to provide you a silver bullet solution to homelessness. I am, however, very much aware of the issue of homelessness and aware that the city and police force, city organizations, city-funded organizations, nonprofit organizations are currently doing what they know how to do to fix it. I can say for certain, providing all things to all homeless is not the answer. We don't want to be an attractor for homeless folks, but mental health, drug addiction, those things come into play, and we've got to be able to have the facilities and care mechanisms in place to help those that find themselves in those situations.
All right, thanks, Ben. We are now at the point where we're going to have our final statements for the evening. We flipped a coin earlier tonight to determine the order for the closing statements. And Fred Rettig, you'll go first.
You know, I want to thank all those that it has taken to put this evening together. Thank you, the Women League of Voter, WKRG. But many of you viewing tonight don't know Fred Rettig. But let me tell you a little bit about me. I've been married for 44 years to my wife, Barbara. She's put up with me. Thank you, baby. I've been a businessman for 41 years. I've worked hard with honesty and integrity. I've worked to please people. I've not robbed or stolen from people. I'm a man of understanding. I know how to work with people. I will take my understanding of business knowledge and take it downtown and work with the city council. As a leader, I know how to work with people. I know how to manage money, and I've been successful. I will use all those tactics at the city council to better the city. As a city leader, I believe we're going to have to ask God to help us in some of our problems. That's where I believe we missed it. We've missed God. We've missed the opportunity to say, God, how do we deal with this? And we're going to have to pray and ask him to intervene. But on August the 24th, I ask that you go to the polls, please, and vote Fred Rettig for your next city council. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Fred. Ben?
Peter, thank you. Great job hosting, by the way. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you go to the polls to cast your vote, I ask that you think of yourself as an employer in the process of hiring an employee to take your business to elevated heights. Mobile is on the verge of being the greatest city in the Southeast and maybe even the country. I ask that you consider my 3 years of preparation for this job and evaluate me on the basis of preparation, possibility of longevity, and as someone with an unmistakable motivation to ensure that my little girls choose Mobile when they have the opportunity to do so. Everything has been said today is included in my platform of public safety, infrastructure, and housing. I ask that you vote for me on August 24th. Ben Reynolds, thank you.
All right, thanks so much to our two candidates for District 4. Again, the municipal election in Mobile is Tuesday, August 24th. Thanks to the League of Women Voters, Mobile United, and AFC Mobile for sponsoring tonight's City Council Forum. Coming up on Friday at the same time, 7 o'clock, we will discuss the city issues with the candidates for District 3. Have a good night.